Hey everybody, this is the Bitcoin Beast talking at you again, and this is part 3 of our trading series. And this one is called The Bounce. The Bouncer. Ha ha ha. Uh, this trade is probably the second most common trade that people take. It goes by many different names: support and resistance, supply and demand, a few other things. And once again, I'm going to take it down into its simplest terms so you understand not only what's happening, but why it's happening as well. So here we go. Supply and demand, I think, describes it the best, better than support and resistance. So we're going to take a look at that. Supply and demand zones are areas where prices change direction in the past due to an imbalance of buyers and sellers. A supply zone suggests a surplus of sellers push price down, while a demand zone indicates a surplus of buyers drove price up. So we have this picture right here. We have a demand zone and a supply zone, and how this works is you have an imbalance. Well, first you have a balance. Before you have an imbalance, you have to have a balance. And so what happens is buyers and sellers, there's equal amounts of buyers and sellers. So price stays stable. And then for some reason or another, there's some type of catalyst that drives price in one direction or another and zips out of that zone. And you want it to move quickly. That means there's a lot of, in this case, there'll be a lot of buyers. There's a lot of extra buyers in here. So price zips out of the zone and then comes up and hits this supply zone. And then it comes up here, and then it does the same thing. It drops real quick. These big candles, these are the dead giveaways that when price races away from an area where price was imbalanced before, like here. This is probably the easiest place to see it, and then zips away. What happens is there's so many buyers that just came in all at once. Some of these buys got left in the dust, and so there's still buyers here. There's still orders that weren't filled. And what happens is the buyers get exhausted, and it comes back down, retest, and then bounces out of the demand zone, and then hits and then takes off again. This is the most common form of a bounce. It's probably the best common entry. Probably got about a 75% hit rate. Sometimes you get a fake out, but if it's a true demand zone, it stays in balance. It doesn't stay very long. You don't want it to stay a really long time. Then it becomes congestion. I call it wacky congestion. You just want it to stay in balance just for a little bit and then zip out, retest it, and then boom, off it gets in. And then you want to get in right here at this retest. That is the bounce, and it is very, 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 very nice. That particular bounce. Not all bounces are created equal, though, and I want to get into that. But this one here is a 75% hit rate. You could make a living just trading off of this. You get into a demand zone, you get a bit, price races out, then retest it, and bounces out again. 7.5 times out of 10, it's going to zip off and zip off big time, especially if your supply zone is way up high. Now, there's a lot of smaller supply zones here, here, and here. So yeah, it's surprising that it did go as far as it did, as fast as it did. I was pretty impressed that it did that, because usually what happens is price tends to drop quickly and rise slowly, particularly with any commodity side things. If it's forex, it can be either or. It's usually not a big deal, but when it's a commodity, you're trading stocks or gold or something like that, it's more common that you're going to have it's just human nature and the fear and the greed in the market. So let's go take a look at a chart and see if we can find some of these. I have an indicator that helps me look at that. I've been kind of getting away from it because I like the fades and the pullbacks so much. I've been trying to pull back, and the demand is a type of that particular demand zone pullback bounce was a type of pullback. So let me pull up a new chart. Let's just pull up something completely different. Let's pull up a crypto. It shows this really well. Let's go with let's just look at good old Bitcoin. Let's just look at good old Bitcoin crypto. Oh, that's dominance. I don't want that. I don't want that. I want regular old Bitcoin. Let's just do Coinbase. Make it easy. Okay, and we are going to just remove all these. I'm going to get all these out of the way. these are just going to get in the way of what we want to look at, and we're going to pull up a different indicator that I like. Hopefully I didn't lose it. Where is it? Anchor view. Oh, great. Hopefully I might have lost it. Oh well, I can do it by hand. That's no big deal. We're going to go with horizontal ray. We want price. We're not exactly looking for something, a bounce like this. What we want is more of something where it's stayed in balance for a little bit. If it just V'd out, it's an okay supply zone, not a great one. But let's go ahead and mark it off. It's going to be from the top of the race candle, that'll be this candle here, to the bottom of the wick is the zone that we're looking at. So let's go ahead and do that. Come on. I got the wrong ray. Move. I got one a horizontal ray. There we go. There we go. So this is the zone that we're. So let's see. I don't even know. I'm just kind of winging this, but I think this might be a decent zone, and it did. See, came down in here. There was still buyers left over here. They got left in the dust. Then they zipped out of this zone fairly quickly. Now I would have liked to have seen this come in slowly and this rise rapidly. So it's a weaker zone, but it's still a zone nonetheless, because you look for these big giant wicks. That's the dead giveaway of a demand zone or a supply zone. You see big giant wicks at the top and the bottom of a move. Those are stop runs usually. The people set their stop losses there, and then the bots and the algos go in, they wipe that out, scoop up that liquidity, and then take off with that and leave everybody in the dust. And then sometimes it moves so fast that orders don't even get triggered. So there's still orders there waiting to get triggered. And some people are on different time frames, so they're going to be a little bit more patient. And this is very common, especially with cryptocurrency. And as you can see, boom, there was a bounce. It came in here, it bounced in about 2/3. Now when it dives into here, it's gone in pretty deep. Anything 2/3, that zone is probably dead from here on out. So this is your only chance. If it just shallow or even comes up a little bit short, then this is going to hold. And the stronger this zone is, the more activity that happens, the more it was in balance before it shot out, the stronger that zone is. And so it's going to be harder to crack once price comes back in, because there's a lot of orders waiting for there to buy. And like I said, in crypto, it's very common. This is a very common scenario. So you see that it bounced right out. We get up to about just short of the 50%. It's probably like 40-45%. So when it started coming back down, I probably would have taken profit, but I would have put my entry. I usually put my entry up towards the top of the zone, so probably right around here, because in case it's shallow, because you can't really tell. There's no real predictive way to tell how these work, and usually you're going to get about a 50% bounce at a minimum. Very rarely do you get V outs like this. It's very rare that happens and it goes all the way back up. So you just want to get, like I said, your quick scalp and get out. Face hit. This one I might have lost out. I might have moved my stop to break even, said, come on, rolled the dice, and then got out with maybe a pip, or maybe just 1 point where I didn't lose anything. But if I didn't lose anything, that means I still won. So I count that as a winner. A scratch I call winners. And so that's how you keep your sanity about you, because there's going to be another trade right around the corner. When you're hitting for base hits, it keeps you humble, and the worst thing that can happen is that you get a home run on your first time up at bat, because then you keep trying to hit home runs and you just fail miserably. Base hits, singles, that's what we're looking for. Pete Rose style trading. He was the hit king back in the day. So you guys might be a little bit young for that reference, but basically he was the king hitter. He had more base hits than anybody for years. I think his record still might be standing. I'm not real sure, But I don't follow baseball that much anymore. But that's what this is. This is a demand zone bounce, and it worked out. And you see, I did it blind. I just put it up there, didn't work, and there it was. Very common in crypto. Forex, it's not as common. It does work, but not as common. Uh, Anytime there's a type of commodity, it works very well. Gold, oil, yeah, but big crypto in particular works extremely well because there's the liquidity so thin, the orders all the time get blown out where they're not triggered, and so they come when the price comes back, then the order gets triggered and then it bounces out. So that is the bounce in a nutshell. You just look for those big wicks. Let's see if we can find a supply. Nah, it wasn't really. It was kind of a long time in balance, and then we had a big wick. It didn't really move down. That's not a really good example. Let's see if we can find one. Looking for a big wick up top. Now this one is a supply turn demand. That was the demand zone. We dropped through it. Remember, we bounced out, then we dropped through it. Now these become supply zones, because see how it raced right through here? So some orders got left behind. Some people were trying to buy in here, thinking that they was going to bounce and hold, and then it didn't hold. It broke. Because you see how deep it went? So it went one more time, all the way down to the bottom, and then failed. So when it gets 2/3 deep, that zone is dead. Guaranteed that zone is more than likely dead. And sometimes these zones stack up on each other too. I'm not going to get into that today. Well, maybe I have some time. I can maybe pull up my other charting. Well, I don't have it pulled up, but I can show you. But you can see later on, yeah, coming up just short of it. And there was probably some orders there that got triggered, that got left behind in that big swoop down. They never got triggered, and this big move down here didn't get quite up back to that level. Zooped here, and it never got back up to this level. So there's some orders here that probably didn't get triggered because it moved through that area so fast, and then they got re-triggered right here, and then went back down. It's amazing how well this works in crypto. And like I said, in Forex it doesn't work as well. It does work, but not as well. But there's a perfect example of a demand turn supply. That's everything in a nutshell. You got demand zone, and I just drew that arbitrarily. I did not plan this out at all. Bounced out, got our 50%, got the hell out because we were 2/3 of the way in. This is perfect. I couldn't have planned this better myself. And I like I said, I didn't even look at it. I'm just winging this. Then it dropped through, bounced one more time, just a little bit here on that wick, but got down to the bottom of that zone. It's at the bottom of that wick, so there's no more orders in that zone. And then crashed through. Came on down. Almost got to the top. You know, if you want to, it will do that, especially if it's a very strong zone. It will just barely miss it by like a quarter or so. You can start. If you think that zone is pretty strong, you might want to front run it a little bit. And it fell through pretty quick. It moved through when the price was out of balance. So price moved. There was a lot of sellers, so price moved very quick, leaving sellers in the dust. And then when it came back, those sell orders were still waiting. And then boom, they were triggered. Bam, down. 50%, you're out. You want to go out a little bit further or whatever. You want to try to hold it on. Let's see what would have happened. Probably would have got stopped out for break. Well, we would have been trailing just a little bit at break even. So you put your stop when you enter. I'll show you how to enter it. Here's your order. Now there isn't a real swing low to look at. Let me see if I can find a swing low to look at. There really isn't a swing low to look at. So you usually want to do the opposite side. This was the origin. We were waiting for it to come back. That was the origin. So these are really good risk to reward ratio trades too, because your stop is just put it on the outside, maybe a little bit outside the box. just a little bit outside. And then, boom. Because if it goes outside that box, you were wrong. It happens. It happens. These have about, like I said, in cryptos, these have a very high hit rate. You get into other commodities and stuff like that, there's a lot more liquidity, a lot of more tricks and games going on, so that doesn't work out quite as well. But with crypto, these seem to work very well. 70%, I would say, in their so, and like I said, and then it bounced out here. Now it's still valid because it went through it. Becomes often, this is often called a pivot. When price goes from one extreme to another, the middle, the 50%, there's a lot of different names for it. Pivot, it's not point of control. Fair value market is another name for it. Supply, turncoat supply. That means it was demand. Now it's turned to supply. It's switch side, so to speak. And then, as I said, it barely touched it. It just missed it right here. Just missed it. So you might want to front run it. I would definitely probably have front runned it because it moved out of that zone so quickly. And then boom, your stop's up here on the other side. So if it goes through, you're wrong. There's always that probability you're going to be wrong. And this is, like I said, this is about a 70% hit rate. So 3 times you're going to be wrong. 7 times you're going to be right. So you keep the losses small, let the profits run. Take it down to the swing low, maybe 50, anywhere between 50% and the swing low is a good take profit target for these. On a bounce, 50% to play with fire a little. To play with fire a little bit. 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 You want, like I said, base hits. Get out. You never go broke taking profits. So that covers pretty much everything. You got the basically a demand turns supply, and then supply. That's how it works. It's that simple, and it works like that. Support and resistance don't work as well. These zones work much better because you have an area where that there's going to be orders there. So we'll call it an order block. And they'll also not as, let me see if I can find one. Let me back it out a little bit. See if I can find one on a 30 and back it out a little bit. Rally base rally. Was it a rally base rally? That's what I'm looking for now. I don't see really a good rally base rally. Maybe this one here. No. More of a pullback. Yeah, I'm not really seeing any rally-based rallies. Here's a good no, that's not really a good one. I don't see a rally-based rally. Not seeing one. And that one, here's a kind of a good one, but let me see. Let me blind it. Let me do it blind, and let me see if it hits. I'm gonna go ahead and do it blind. So probably like, oops. There's a horizontal ray. So our origin. We want to look for something like where price stayed in balance for just a small while. These zones can be pretty wide. You want to look for where it raced away from a balance. When things were balanced out for a little bit, these 2 candles here, and then it raced away really quick. That means there was a lot of buyers that came in, so there's buyers left in the dust. Let me see. So it raced out of here, then bounced here, and then did a big race out of here. So I'm hoping that this works out. But the problem is we got this gap down. So I don't know if it's going to work out. Because now we're below it. So it became supply. Like I said, I did it. But you can see it did become supply, but it gapped down. So I don't know if that would have worked out. quite honestly. Like I said, I did that one blind. Let me see if I can find another bat. It's not, it didn't really race out of the first base. I'm not seeing any really good ones. Alright. I'll come back to rally, I'll call it bounce level 2. I'll come back to it. I'm going to go and search for bounce level 2, but I'm going to end this video here.